What up, party peeps? We are back with the reaction series on the Decision Lab. CJ and I are breaking down controversial episodes or things that happen in pop culture or the health and wellness space in general, anything that's happened in the world, see if it's science-backed or not. Today we're reacting to Luke Belmar, who CJ put in front of me, who's a crypto bro and the founder of Capital Club, which is the fastest growing network of entrepreneurs in the world, apparently. That's interesting. I didn't know that. So why are we reacting to this guy?
So we're reacting to him, one, like shameless promo because we have a community sort of similar to his, but with a like backing and emphasis on mental health. So I wanted to break that down. I also wanted to bring him up because he is a self-proclaimed like biohacker. It's mostly like through his brother, who I wasn't able to find a lot of clips of. But his brother is like a huge biohacker, and so he has like some biohacking points, and I found him through a YouTube video that was like reacting to him and Ashton Hall together as examples of kind of like alpha influencers, and like this person had never heard of biohacking before and was like, I had to search it because of this guy. So that was interesting. In my opinion, he actually makes Ashton Hall look great. So we'll get into that in a second.
Jesus
So
Christ.
what we're doing is I went through this Capital Club, like his Facebook, pulled some reels that we're going to be breaking down. It was a painful experience. I had to go through so much content, and I hope you really like this video because not only did I get brain rot, but my Facebook algorithm is ruined forever.
My Facebook algorithm is now ruined. I will never not see it. Got it. All right. Well, I appreciate you going through the trials and tribulations for the people of the Decision Lab. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Before we get completely started on the content deep dive, I wanted to ask, have you ever heard of this guy or the Capital Club? I think you already hinted at no.
No, well, once I started looking at the clips, I was like, oh, that guy. Like I've seen that guy before or
Okay.
whatever. But I didn't know his name. I didn't know the Capital Club. I didn't understand what he was doing. I just thought he was some type of content bro type thing. I didn't think anything good or bad about it. I just was like, oh yeah, I've seen
Right.
him.
Yeah, I didn't really know a whole lot about him. I had like the same thing where I was like, oh, I've seen this guy before, and it was other side of the internet. It was through like a meme, which we will get into later. But
Okay.
so yeah, but he has a lot of followers and is making like quite a bit of money in this like entrepreneurial space.
Okay.
So without further ado, let's dive into the first clip that I think is a good introduction that is going to like kind of cover most of the points about this guy and sum him up. A quick introduction, if you will.
A quick introduction, if you will. Okay, let's share the screen.
First of all, delete all social media apps.
Let me restart
500.
this.
Are you going to the gym every day? No, you're not. Are you sleeping well? No, you're not. Are you eating organic, clean food?
Yeah.
No, you're not. I see eye bags under your eyes. So what? Bro, look at me. First of all, delete all social media apps. Why? Because it's a distraction right now. Until you know why you're going to use something, don't use it. Two, why are you getting tired? I look at you now, you look tired. It's a health issue. You need to get biochemically repaired. What are you feeding yourself? What do you watch on TV? What do you watch on your phone? What do you listen to? What do you eat? What do you drink? Who do you hang out with? What's the environment of your house? So you need to repair your what? Vehicle. Because this vehicle is the only thing that's going to make you win. No problems, only opportunities. I'm unhealthy. What's the opportunity? The opportunity is to get healthy. I don't have money. What's the opportunity? To make money. I'm scrolling on social media. What's the opportunity? Use social media to make money. There's no such thing as problems, only opportunities. But you have to be able to see the opportunity. Are you going?
All right. What a wild time. What is
Yeah.
your initial thought to that? I mean,
So, like, surface level, again, I don't disagree with the points that he's saying. I
Right.
will say that. Like, I do disagree with the delivery, like, heavily, again, because we do this. So, this is why this video is so interesting, because this is literally what we also do, like, with content creation and entrepreneurship. I think the other piece that like definitely probably makes me a little bit more biased about this video is going through so much of his content I wasn't able to include everything, but like he's commonly referring to these people he's talking to this as like brokies, which I just hate. Like it's not like a hustling entrepreneur is worse than you because they're not making the same amount of money, and I don't think that that's like a
Brokey.
good thing to
Oh, a
motivate
brokey
people.
like they're broke. I thought when
Yeah.
you said brokey, I was thinking like, I don't know, like some type of variation of bro, but like they are broke. They don't have money, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
so he's like
Yeah.
just calls people like broke and stuff, which like I don't know. Like I guess he wants to bait people into his funnel and like his pipeline or whatever through this like entrepreneur club, and he's got a free community. I understand how it all works. I just don't agree with this motivation factor, and I think that I mean, this is the kind of thing that leads to our community having to exist, where
Right.
there
When
is
you
like
only
a
focus on
space,
money.
right? Because like he's saying these things like, oh, you need to get your money, your health right and stuff. But does he tell anyone how to do that? No. He only focuses on the money side and is like, well, then just fix everything else with no like life
Yeah.
factors obviously happen.
It's an interesting perspective because, again, yeah, the things he was saying all make sense. Like, absolutely, health and wellness wise, that makes sense. I guess the hard part, and we run into this at times as well, is that money is motivating for people. They just don't know what they don't know. Like, they like an offer that promises someone money generally does better than an offer that is promising them some mental health thing. Like, we just went through this ourselves. So I think he's just taking that to an extreme. Like we're doing, like, we can make money and make the money without sacrificing your mental health. And that's our offer. It's just straight up like, make money. And I think, I don't know, sometimes I feel like you missed the tree for the forest or the forest for the tree or whatever that saying is, because it's like so focused on money, you don't think about what happens when you
Yeah.
make it.
And no, and definitely. And we'll get into that literally next video. This is a great transition to next video. So like you won't be able to see it on screen, but what this next video is for is it's trying to teach you like how to get your health right to make money, which we'll just break down the points of that in a second. While Cody's pulling it up, I will shamelessly plug our community, the Balanced Creator, which is the opposite of this. We help people get their mental health mindset and health right, so that way they're able to do content creation and chase their dreams.
Yes, the Bounce Creator, baby. Let's go. All right, let's watch this one.
Go get spring water. Don't drink Dasani purified water. It's going to fuck you up. 2, once you have a little bit of money, start eating super clean, super organic, not processed foods, not garbage. You do not want to be using Teflon pans. They have forever chemicals. It's known to be extremely poisonous. So get a cast iron. Don't use a microwave. It's completely killing the food. You're literally nuking it. Don't drink sodas. Don't drink Gatorade. Neglect bullshit music. Neglect celebrities. Don't give a celebrities. They're just dirt. When you meet them in real life, they ain't that special. I'm giving you the whole rundown here, my G. Right now.
Talk to me. What do you think?
Well, okay, like obviously there's a lot of scientific points, which is why I picked this one. So we'll break down the scientific points in a second. Something I noticed in like the creator I got this idea from also noticed is you're teaching people how to make money, and your second point is instantly, once you have a little bit of money, you can do this to get your health right to make more money.
Right. I mean, I see where you're coming from. There is also an undeniable logic in this, in a way. Otherwise, this would not be a viral piece of content that we are fucking reacting to. Like, so it's the simplest path for someone's brain generally does really well. And people who are willing to exploit that by saying, if you make more money, you can spend more money on making yourself healthy. Like, the math makes sense on that. In a way, there's more to it than that. 100%. I will 100% agree with that. But I could understand why so many people might be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I want to follow this guy.
Yeah, I understand why it makes sense. I'm gonna drop a controversial point. And it's because we do this on TDL. I don't think that people listen or like view content creation critically enough, or they would see kind of a lot of these discrepancies that he has, or that he like doesn't fully flesh out. And they're like, oh yeah, that just makes sense, without thinking like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be teaching me how to make money, and now they're telling me to spend it. And we'll get into his point about celebrities in a little bit too, because he definitely has some like backwards views that don't line up with this. But okay, for the sake of this video, we're going to start breaking down the science points. Question number 1. So like some water is definitely worse for you. Like I know when the water sommelier was blowing up a couple years ago, he was like, hey, don't drink smart water. Like it's devoid of all of the like great minerals for you. But even he was like, I drink tap water. Like it's fine. Most kinds of water are fine. I'm going to ask, like, are you okay if you drink tap water, other bottled water instead of natural spring? Or are you really hurting yourself that badly? Because that's expensive.
I mean, it really does honestly depend on where you live and what types of things are around you. Later, I'm sure we'll hit on this. He hit on forever chemicals and like PUFAs and all that kind of stuff, which that's a real thing. And there are, even in the United States, there are factories, DuPont factories, that the excess chemicals have leaked into the water supply, and it was killing animals. It was causing cancer, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And so many of these things ended up in people's bodies just from the tap water,
right? Which
has downstream effects. That's undeniably true in some cases. If you understand what the water is in your area, like in Kansas City, we have pretty good water. It's going to be okay. And the other thing too with these forever chemicals, they may be in the water, and but we still don't have an exact like correlative, causative research necessarily on this stuff. It's still pretty new. So it is one to watch out for more than others, right? And there's also people that kind of argue that, oh, well, if your water's in a plastic water bottle, then, and it gets warm, and then these chemicals get in your body and blood as well. And so that's where the bottled water and the glass bottle stuff comes in. So there is some directional, like preliminary research and things like that. The forever chemical thing is an absolute, that's 100% been shown. And like DuPont had to change chemicals, and and 3M had to change what they were using because that was getting really bad. But bottom line, if you're gonna dehydrate yourself first to drink water, I highly recommend drinking the fucking water.
Yeah. Okay. Like I'm in the same boat because my first thought, I mean, it's the same thing almost as the Ashton Hall thing where like he's only having that like one brand, and like it's not feasible for a lot of people. And so I think it's again getting into that like spend money to make money thing, and it's just too much. Yeah. So just wanted to clarify that
part of where he
can
gets
drink
to
water.
Where you can drink water. And I think some of what he gets to is like, you can, as you are able to make more money, invest in better stuff. Sure. Yeah. You would be more safe if you're drinking out of glass, or if you had a reverse osmosis filter or things like that, but you just can't do that initially sometimes. So
next point I wanted to get into is about food, because I know you've done videos on this, and so it's a little bit controversial. You would definitely have something to say about clean and organic food, which is what he's promoting. Why don't I let you just talk on that for a second? Because I'm sure he means one thing, but he doesn't totally know what he's saying here.
Yeah, I mean, most people who talk about organic stuff don't really know what it means. Like, organic is such a we talk about this all. We had True Moringa on the podcast the other day, and we were talking about the difference between what organic means and what it doesn't mean and stuff. People think, oh, it means there's no pesticides. Well, not really. It just means that there are plant-based or natural pesticides, like need or neat, I can't remember how you pronounce it. They can still be sprayed on the stuff. If an organic farm is next to a non-organic farm, the stuff that's sprayed on the non-organic farm can get on the organic farm. You need far more farmland for organic farms generally as well, which is not necessarily better for the environment. Like, there's all these things in relation to organic versus non-organic that just people don't understand. They hear organic and they think it's better. The percent that it's better is minimal. Okay, if you're going to choose between a candy bar and a non-organic apple, eat the fucking apple. It doesn't matter if it's not organic, it's an apple. Like, if you're worried, rinse it off with the tap water, or get some glass water bottles and get it off, or whatever, or like rinse it off and stuff like that. Sure, do that. But for carrots, like, there are people that will have you eat a lollipop over a carrot that was in a plastic bag. It's like, dude, are we really saying this right now? Like, what the hell? Yes, if you have millions of dollars to spend, you can absolutely get the only glass, and you go to your farmer's market. And honestly, farmer's markets actually are usually cheaper, but go to your farmer's market and know that it's fresh from the ground and stuff like that. Yes, please do that. But like, come on, man. Like, for the average person, this is not a fear that they need to have in their day-to-day life.
Right. And I think another point that was like brought up in a previous video that you did for like a shorts for somebody was that like, there are natural, like organic things growing in the environment that are just terrible for you. Like,
right.
You're not just going to go like eat a weed. Organic is crazy. And they can put anything in there. I think it was I just edited the Fixed Biome podcast, and she was also like, as far as ingredients and stuff, they can say there's an organic apple in this, but there's no check on whether it is like older or if it's pristine. Right. So like, you don't know. You might as well just try to make the healthy choice for yourself and do the best you can.
Yeah, 100%. My CrossFit coach all the time is talking about, like, eat as many whole foods as you can, get protein, get fruits and veggies and nuts and seeds, and like drink water, like do those things, and you will directionally be better off. And then if you have more resources later and you want to maximize, go for it.
Sweet. We already kind of hit on the point about like the pans and stuff, and we know that that's real. So moving on to our other point about food, he just says microwaves are killing the food. He doesn't really elaborate on what this means, but I just wanted to ask you, have you seen kind of like any research that's anti-microwave?
I mean, I haven't seen any that I can like pull up and think about. I think what he's trying to get at is that you are nuking your food, like you're sending radiation through your food essentially to heat it up. You also are sending radiation into your skin by walking outside under the sun. So it's like, what are we talking about here? I get where he's coming from. And the other thing that I have seen in relation to this is like microwaving stuff in plastic can put more of those forever chemicals in your food, and that is like microwave popcorn is a great example of this. That is there is research around that, and there is like that is something that can happen if you're eating too much too much microwave popcorn. That is absolutely something. Those forever chemicals that are on the packaging in the bag that those kernels are sitting in, Absolutely. You find it more in people's blood and things like that. But again, like for most things, it's not going to kill you. The other thing you might be getting at is protein's denatured at a certain level. So if you fry a piece of steak or fry a piece of chicken too heavily in the microwave, some of the protein you're getting might be worse. But it's like, what? What are you talking about? That's like a chemical reaction. Like that's like
something
microwave-based
that
chemical.
like I was sort of thinking about here that I wanted to just like think about was I've never seen anything that would be like anti-microwave, but also like a lot of the times it's super helpful for people that are like busy or on the grind to do like meal prepping, where they like get everything done over the weekend, freeze it, and then heat it up throughout the week, because it's just like time saving and helpful, and that can help you buy yourself more time, which I would assume would be important for like an entrepreneur.
100%. I do that. I do that myself. So I am someone that doesn't like to microwave things in plastic or things that could like melt, because if it melts and I'm eating plastic directly, that's kind of gross and it tastes funny. I'll do it on a plate or something, like a glass plate or something like that. Like it's a tiny little thing that you can do, but I still do microwave my stuff and warm stuff up.
And you're alive.
Yeah. Very healthy.
We're going to put a pin in the sodas and Gatorades thing for a second, because that comes up next video. So his last point that we'll cover in this one is no BS music or celebrities. So he doesn't elaborate on like what BS music even is. And as far as celebrities, I keep saying we're going to get to this in a second, but I think that there is some very conflicting points here. But before we do that, like what are your thoughts on this? Just initially.
Because I've seen people like him and people that talk like Tom Bilyeu is a healthier version maybe of this probably. But Tom Bilyeu's perspective is fill every second of your day with something educational, something teaching you, something motivating you. And so instead of listening to music of any kind, in the gaps between your tasks and things like that, you should be listening to a podcast. You should listen to an audiobook. You should be listening to a motivational recording or something like that instead of just listening to music. That's what I would think he's talking about, because he doesn't give us like, don't listen to rap or don't listen to country. He didn't say that specifically. That's what I would guess he was talking about.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I still don't know if I agree with this or if there's like necessarily research behind it, if we can see where he's coming from, but like, you know, there is studies to support like certain kinds of music for studying, for working. And also, like, I think it's okay to just have fun every now and then. Even if I'm a pop girl, like, I'm listening to pop or, like, rap all the time. And I think I've turned out okay. It seems like an argument. My initial thought was he was saying, like, don't listen to rap or anything like that just because, like, the image is on the screen. Which to me feels like the video game argument. Like, oh, if you play video games, like, they're creating, like, violent people or whatever. When it's like, no, you can separate what you're listening to from...
Yeah.
Like real life. I like it because it's got like good like pop and stuff, because it's got good BPM, so it gets me hyped up to work.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I listen to music as well. I'm kind of in the middle, because I do like to fill my seconds when I'm making lunch or something like that. I'll do a meeting or I'll make a call or I'll listen to a podcast. I always have something like that. That's how I'm just constantly. I love consuming information and I love to do that. And we're creators. I have to do that to like be able to do what I do or a book. So I do like doing that. But then there are also times, like, as you know, I've been going through a bit of a challenging time recently, and I can't focus on the book or anything like that. So I just listen to music, or I'll listen to binaural beats, or I'll listen to other things. And that's been helping me. And then when I work, I listen to specific sound waves or frequencies and things like that to get into flow states, stay into flow states. So maybe that wouldn't fall underneath his like garbage music or whatever, I guess. But I also don't really give a fuck what he thinks. I'm going to do what I want to do. So.
I want to make maybe like a quick intro point about celebrities, because he just says like don't engage with celebrities at all, which I mean I think is kind of interesting, because obviously he is a celebrity to some people. So like if you're making your money through content creation, like I don't think you can go listen to celebrities, because that's what you do. You are a celebrity in a sense.
In a way.
So that's just interesting. Like I maybe get the point on like drama channels, like, you know, you can stay away from like the Kardashians or E! News and stuff, and you'll be okay. But like even entrepreneurs have their celebrities, and maybe even with some of the drag people, I think it's a little bit like interesting to be like, oh, well, don't listen to them at all. Like at the end of the day, these people are running culture. So even if you're not obsessed with them, I think it is still important to pay attention to these things. Like, I do that I mean, a lot. You don't have to be completely invested, but
I mean, that absolutely is certain. Important is a strong word in my opinion. I could give a fuck less about most celebrities. Like I just like, not because I have anything, like he sounds like he has something out to like he's out to get him, or like he was hurt. Like it's like, dude, were you hurt by somebody? Are you okay, buddy? Like type of thing. I don't care. Like I'm focused on our stuff. Like I want to talk with you
Yeah.
and Chloe and like our team. Like I just,
It
you and
seems like he's
Sophia
kind
tell
of
me if they're trends.
it's kind of seems like he's framing celebrities as just kind of like people that you look up to, though. You know what I mean? Because he's
Yeah,
like,
that,
oh,
yeah.
don't pay attention. Because when you meet them, they're not all that you've built them up to be. Which, like,
Uh,
I'm sure it's true. But if we're defining celebrity like that, like he has his idols, I'm sure, and like we do too. Like people that we
yeah,
want to be, people that
mentors.
we aspire to be. You are that for somebody. It's hard to like make a business like this if you're not. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
My
think,
point is like if you like somebody, I absolutely think that you can follow them
yeah,
and
go
like
for it. I
practice
mean,
their teachings and stuff.
I mean, the biggest thing is that like, what do you like about them and what do you want to model? You know, don't just follow them to follow them.
Yeah.
From my perspective, like, what is it you like about them? Are they confident? Do they say what they want to say? Do they do what they want to do? Do they like what is going on with this and or with this person or why? Like, get to that intention and then go from there.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we can move into the next clip. This is going to be like I think the longest section here. We'll put it in 0.5 or 2 times speed. We're
I was
going
trying
to
to
do this
find how to
one.
do
This
that.
one we'll watch and pause as we go because it's a little bit longer. So just
I
make
don't
sure we
think
don't
there
miss any of the
is.
points.
I can't go faster on this,
Oh, darn.
so that's going to be
I
a
thought I
challenge.
tested this. Well, we can, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
We've got time. We're doing okay.
Let me.
Big on an entrepreneurship, bro. It's like,
Tell me more, bro.
I tell you, you gotta fix this shit because it's not. And this is something I'm big on entrepreneurship.
Oh, this
bro,
isn't
like
the right video.
health and wellness, dude. Because it's like
Talk to me. Which clip are we on?
Oh. Well, okay. Maybe this is the right one. I'm so sorry. My bad. Content error. It has like a weird little intro to it that I didn't see before. My bad. Continue.
Okay, so we can keep watching it.
Yes.
Cool.
That was user error. Before we
What can I actually eat? Because,
So he's
bro,
just
my
talking to
diet-
this young guy. He's asking him questions about like, and this is kind of biohacking, entrepreneurial based.
I've seen this video before.
Okay, interesting. We'll keep going.
Every time I pause it, it mutes it.
Real quick, do you know who that fellow is in the background there? That's kind of standing.
Uh-uh.
So that is Tristan Tate, who we'll get into in a second.
Oh yeah, I got that. I hadn't seen him yet on here, but
Bro, my diet is terrible, bro. Like, I eat every single day.
The thing is, though, you ask these questions, I feel like you already know the basic answers.
Mm-hmm.
You eat McDonald's every day. Not to do that. You're trying to get into the specifics without covering the basics. You know what I mean? It's like when people care about fitness, what's the exact correct technique to lift this, lift that? People who don't train at all, just go running and do some push-ups. Everyone knows like the answers. Step one, stop eating McDonald's every day. Once you do that, worry more about the exact specifics of what you're eating and what you're not.
what I would say.
That's a good point.
What I would say something's really good is always being conscientious of what you eat. At all times in my life, I have some sort of dietary restriction, right? So I limit some sort of thing. Right now, I limit high fructose corn syrup, like processed sugars. I don't do any of that garbage. I don't do caffeine. So I limit my diet. Why? So every time I eat, I'm conscious. Bro, think about the most basic, common things that everybody has. Eating, sleeping, exercising, the most basic elements. When was the last time, bro, that you were like, I feel hungry, I'm not gonna eat. I'm gonna diet. I'm gonna fast.
On a plane, I couldn't move.
Let me tell you this one, bro. What if what you're experiencing isn't actual hunger? What if what you're experiencing is addiction?
Holy shit. You're right.
I think this is a good spot to just pause and we'll just real quick go through this point here. I surface level, it's hard to disagree. I think there's a couple points. You don't just stop doing something. It's absolutely, you have to build a habit. So like, that's a little bit basic. Second, this feels like introduction to like borderline disordered eating to me. I understand like the fasting and stuff, like he's into that. Biohacker, that's fine. I looked up and he does intermittent fasting and then sometimes he'll do week longs, like he did like Ramadan or something like that. I'm cool with that. But like viewing food as an addiction and trying to get people to think that way does feel pretty dangerous to me.
without any nuance, it could be for sure. I intermittent fast every day. I don't eat breakfast. I don't eat until like 12:30 or 1, and I stop eating around 6 or 7. So I do this. And before I did that, when you start to try to do that, there is a period where it feels like, oh man, like withdrawal, like there's some dopamine and some sugar and some stuff that you get from it. So it's more nuanced than just saying, like, is the hunger an addiction? There are biological things going on that mirror addictions, if you will. Someone randomly hearing this on the internet who doesn't understand or have a biological background or a neurological background that doesn't get this could absolutely hear that. And that could hit someone with eating disorder, because I've worked with these types of people before, and it could hit them the wrong way for sure. But food can be an addiction. That is the thing. Like, we don't have to hide that there are food addictions.
Yeah. Absolutely, but I think like we're assuming we're talking to like a regular everyday person here, not somebody that's felt like, you know, having issues with binging or something like that for like a dopamine rush. Like we're talking to, for all we know, like a neurotypical person here, which like you hear the word addiction and your mind goes to extreme places, right?
Right. I get what he's describing though, and when like there are books like Fast Like a Girl is actually a great book on fasting, and it actually takes into account like females' menstrual cycle, which is interesting. It's a great book for anybody, but for women especially, it's a great one. But because there's just times women should not be fasting based on your menstrual cycle. But something that almost all fasting books, even that one, talks about is that when you first start it, there is like that voice, that food voice that comes up. People who are on Ozempic or like whatever talk about the food noise as well. And there's like that I want to eat, I need to eat type of thing. And it kind of does kind of feel like an addiction or like a thing that you have to overcome. It's weird when you initially experience it, and it's absolutely something you have to like work through to get through that fasting and like know how to like drink like electrolytes and water and different things. But so it's interesting. I get where he's coming from. I think it could be definitely heard wrong. And
Yeah. I think he talks about this like more in a second too, but just really quick before we get into this, what is your mindset on like coaching by just telling people don't? Because that's kind of what we're doing here. You're a trauma coach, and I mean like obviously help people with mindset, motivation, lots of other things.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that?
Restriction it doesn't generally work. Like, I mean, it just doesn't necessarily work. You've got to create a new behavioral pathway, a new behavioral change for them, like starts, stops, something more, something less. But just saying don't do a thing is not really helping somebody. They, like the other dude, the Tristan dude was saying, or whoever the other guy talking, like most people know what they need to be doing, or they know what they shouldn't be doing, but they still do it. Solving why they continue to do it is a way better thing to like go to the root of why they're not doing something they should or doing something they shouldn't, and solve that. And that's way better to help them than just saying, yeah, don't do that. Okay.
Yeah, just wanted to get that out of the way. All right, we can keep going. I don't know if we'll have to watch the whole video, and we'll probably get all the points.
Okay, get back into it.
So you don't have to be home cooking, bro. It's about being aware, bro. It's about being aware. Maybe when you feel like, I'm going to go to McDonald's or I'm going to go to Taco Bell, maybe it's not that you're hungry. Maybe your body's craving the poison, bro. What if the food is designed specifically to make you an addict?
And that is a perfect example. Coca-Cola. Is Coke, would you say it's sweet or is it salty?
I'm just going to let this run in the background. We don't have to pause, but I don't necessarily, like, I agree with this point. Like, definitely some things are made to be addictive.
Not only that,
absolutely.
What does salt do? It makes you thirsty, bro. It dehydrates you and makes you drink more. They purposely put a lot of salt, sodium in it.
Like, this sounds like a conspiracy, but this is true, and we talk about it.
Another one, Gatorade. Right?
Oh, it is.
About electrolytes.
It is true.
Here's the Gatorade.
They're putting it into the actual plastic bottles, it's boiling hot. And what is boiling plastic, right? Boiling hot water or liquid and plastic do? It dissolves the plastic into microplastics.
Into the
drink. Microplastics.
And there's petroleum-based ingredients in it as well, a lot of stuff. You know, it's a perfect example of like, okay, you know what?
That's why we don't vape. We don't do any of that shit, bro.
Okay.
This is an interesting point. We can pause on that. He's saying we don't vape, we don't do any of that while smoking a cigar.
That is mind-blowing to me. I'm just like, dude, what? And he's like, oh, it's just in my mouth and I'm not inhaling or whatever. I'm like,
no, he has it lit. Like, he is smoking it. I don't know. You can't see it this far out, but
no, what I'm saying with cigars, what people say is that, oh, they just put the smoke in their mouth and they don't put it down into their lungs or whatever. But I'm just like, dude,
that's not true. Just like,
that's wild. Like,
right. And like, I understand the difference he's trying to make. I'm not a self-proclaimed biohacker, so I can probably talk about this. Like, he's making comparison to like vaping or cigarettes because you don't smoke cigars as often. They're kind of supposed to be like a treat, right? It's because I mean they're more expensive, which I don't know plays a role here because he's clearly willing to like spend money. He's a rich guy, so like I would
Yeah.
bet he is smoking them a lot. I think my other thing is I was watching this and I was like, for better or worse, when I think of like a biohacker, I think of like Brian Johnson, right? If
Oh,
I
dude,
saw like
pinnacle.
Brian Johnson smoking his cigar, he
Oh
instantly
my
loses
God.
all credibility to me. So I do
100%.
think it's definitely like the like entrepreneurial kind of like business, like high masculine, you know, Wolf of Wall Street side that's kind of saving him here because he's not primarily identified as a biohacker. But like that was just a little too rich for me. Like, what do you mean you don't do that?
I
You're
mean,
doing it in front of us.
it could be an external, like there's something internally, some conscious to him. Like he understands and knows that what he preaches is not exactly what he follows necessarily. And it's like an external thing that he just is not even conscious of, maybe that like that he's doing, that he is not as strict necessarily as he portrays himself to be, which is totally okay and totally human. There's no shade against that.
Yeah.
If you want to smoke a cigar every once in a while, fucking go for it. I don't give a shit. Like
I don't
if
care.
it's 80-20, like if you're 80%, 90% of what you're doing is healthy and like the right, like the directionally good, like, okay, indulge every once in a while. That's the point of life. But I do think it's funny that he's like, we don't do any of that stuff ever. And I'm just like, my friend, what's in your hand? So
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I don't think I have any more on that point. We can just keep rolling. But interesting.
interesting nonetheless.
How do you want to live?
Yeah.
It's not how do you want to die, it's how do you want to live. Like, do you want to wake up brain fog, like an accident popped up? Or do you want to wake up in a scenario where you feel empowered to take over, to conquer? Like, how do you wake up? I don't want to wake up feeling, bro, think of how delusional it is to wake up tired.
Yeah.
What's the whole fucking point of sleep? It's to wake up rested. But motherfuckers are out here eating at 2 a.m.
That's me, bro.
We talked
Okay,
about it, yeah.
okay. So you told me yesterday, you know
Yeah,
what?
bro.
Don't do that. Cause like, for example, I'll go do the podcast and go to the club network. You know, might be with a chick, whatever.
Yeah.
And we're, you know what? You're hungry. Yeah, I'm hungry too. We go eat and back to the crib, do our thing, and then I go to sleep.
Yeah.
But like he's saying, if I eat that late, I can't process the food like I normally would, right?
No. So there's
This
multiple
is a point that we agree with, just for the record.
That is a thing.
So the question
This is the thing.
expend the energy on repairing your body or expend the energy on digesting the food?
Directionally accurate.
Can't do both. So at nighttime, you got to let your body actually rest. That's why after 6, 7, 8 p.m., you should not be touching food, bro.
And if you're extremely
This guy, that's why this guy can get back into shape, bros, because this guy naturally lives in a state where he's doing intermittent fasting
Yeah.
every day of his
I'll
life.
eat 3,500 calories in a single meal once a day.
Yeah,
all the time.
that's better
A lot of the time. That's what I do.
It's the most
in
ideal
the
scenario.
afternoon, not before. So I always go to sleep a bit hungry. You know, I don't have breakfast in the morning. It's yeah, I don't even realize I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lifestyle, yeah.
So I should avoid breakfast.
Avoid breakfast.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about the breakfast diet. Have you heard of a guy called Edward Bernays?
No.
So Edward Bernays.
What he's about to say right here is also real for
I think it was when breakfast wasn't really popular. The meat industry came to Edward Bernays, who's known as the father of propaganda, pushing
I've heard
propaganda
this.
campaigns, and said we need to push more sales of bacon, more sales of meat. Can we figure out how to introduce meats into the breakfast diet? So they built an entire marketing campaign behind breakfast being the most important meal of the day. It skyrocketed. Sausage sales, bacon sales, ham sales. Bro, breakfast wasn't a thing. They made it a thing. Money, bro.
And then
And you want to know the craziest part? You know who's the nephew of, or the family member, I think, of Sigmund Freud, or one of these guys, of the guy from propaganda, Edward Bernays? You know who's his family member?
Okay.
Klaus Schwab.
The founder of Netflix.
And what is Netflix, bro? It's
Propaganda machines, bro. It's all propaganda.
Bro, this
We-
is getting intense. This is getting like
something
they're
that,
directionally accurate on a lot of this stuff, but it's getting like
no, that's
kind of
something that I
conspiratorial.
will say about him because this isn't the first time like I noticed this in his content. Again, I had to watch a lot. We can't fit everything in here. Is he will be 80-90% of the way there. He has some great points, and then it just devolves into conspiracy. Like, most likely, this guy who is like the founder, CEO of Netflix or whatever, like, that's just because of nepotism. That's because rich people have different opportunities, right? I don't think there's some larger conspiracy and propaganda machine behind it. Like,
It's interesting. Some of the stuff they're talking about, like the breakfast stuff, like just the skip breakfast, bro, is something, just to be clear, I have friends that fast the opposite window. They eat breakfast and lunch and then they don't eat dinner, and their fasting window is different. So like, and that might be better for your circadian rhythm. That might like, so there's multiple ways to fast. So it's not just skipping breakfast necessarily. And there's also the training that you do that you should be aware of as well.
right. And also, I mean, obviously neither one of us eat breakfast, but like some people just need that to get their day started. Sometimes you need
Right.
granola
For
bar.
a lot of women that I work with and that I've coached, having breakfast is one of the best ways to stabilize hormones, stabilize moods. There's so many benefits. It's just such a more complex endocrine system than a guy. We just have testosterone to deal with. So it's just so different. So there's no shade at eating breakfast at all. If you want to fast, you can. If you're a woman, you just have different endocrinology. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, read Fast Like a Girl and learn how to fast with your menstrual cycles. Chloe talks about this. If you're a guy, maybe it's a little bit simpler. If you want to skip breakfast, you want to skip dinner, whatever. But it's just, they're getting a little wild, even
Right.
though they're directly accurate.
And I think that's like one of the things just to be wary of in content creation in general. Like, this is why we do what we do on the Decision Lab, is because it's like brands even will be most of the way there, and then there's something crazy added on. And
Yeah.
so like, be mindful of that. And like, we try to do our job to teach you how to do your research for this exact reason. Most of what he's saying is, again, like Cody said, directionally accurate, but we don't have to devolve into anything more than what the research says. Because I think that's just a weird way to get pipelined into a conspiratorial space.
I know, getting the extremes of almost anything are untested waters, and
Yeah.
it's not necessary for the average person. Like, it's the 80-20 stuff. So
Yeah. We can just leave the rest of that. We're just going to click on the next video, which is two of the people from the last video again. So it's Luke Belmar and also Tristan Tate, who, like, I'll just talk about him now before we get into this. I think what he says about celebrities is super interesting considering who he's surrounding himself with here. We can't talk about Tristan Tate without talking about him and Andrew Tate's, like, charges. They're facing international criminal charges for lots of crimes in Romania, Britain, and Florida right now. I'm just going to throw a trigger warning here right now, so skip ahead 15, 20 seconds. For trafficking, coercion, sex with a minor, and rape. And I will, of course, put the source down below. But
got it.
would you, like, what is your thoughts on, like, surrounding yourself with the people you want to be like? Obviously, like, this turned me off of him a little bit, of Luke Belmar. Because I'm like, even if what you're saying is true, I think the people you're around say a lot about you.
That's true. Are these like they've been convicted of this stuff and they're like in jail for this, or are they like in
So
prison, or like is this just a charge?
They were convicted in Romania, so it's different right now because they moved countries to avoid the charge. So that's why, because of like international law, you can't like just go to another country and arrest somebody. It's not the way it works. And so if they go to Britain or Romania, then yes, they will be arrested, and they have already done some jail time. They would have to do more. And then I believe they're working on like the final conviction in Florida right now, but they do have charges.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, that's wild. I mean, none of that is good. So yeah, who you spend your time around at the extremes. I haven't looked into this enough myself. Like, I do believe that you're not guilty until proven innocent. You're innocent until proven guilty. Like, I just do believe in that. But
yeah, they do have
if
charges.
these are things that are even brought up in conversation with you, though, that's do you want to be around that kind of person, even if these are brought up in conversation?
Yes.
Like, not me.
No, literally. Exactly. I think that's like a great point. Even if I mean, I know that some people do want to play like devil's advocate and say like innocent until proven guilty. Again, him and his brother do actually have charges and are just, I mean, they're not great people in general. They spew some crazy content online, but like anyone I have in my life, this isn't coming up.
Right.
Be
No,
so
I mean,
mindful of that, of who you're following online. And this is something I think that, like, cancel culture kind of does well, in my opinion, is you at least know about a lot of these things, and then you can make the moral decision. But, like, I would not try to follow somebody with insane criminal charges, especially for the things that they have been charged with. So,
I mean, it's people at extremes. I agree with you. I mean, obviously, but it's so interesting when you look at the psychology of people like this. Like you say that, right? But do you support Martin Luther King? Known to be an adulterer and like work and like sleep with people like young people that were in his following. Like people at extreme levels of fame and like eyeballs, like weird shit happens. And that is not an
yeah,
excuse at all for
no.
what they do or anything like that. It's just it's more common on just what happens to our minds when you get to that place.
I mean, I think, like, another piece of this, clearly, I'm more familiar. I'm just more online because that's my job and what you pay me to do. But, like, so him and his brother Andrew Tate, which I'm sure you've heard of Andrew Tate, like,
Oh
I
yeah.
think this one is a little bit different as well, just because, like, they are known for kind of spewing misogynistic content online. And so it's like
Hmm.
you're already putting harmful content out there online and kind of like
Yeah.
red pilling all of these young men, and then you are also going to like get charged with crimes against women
Yeah.
while being their idol. Like it's a little bit, it's not really, it's different because there's not really a gray area in this, in my opinion. Like, I mean, they followed up with what they believe in, and for that we have to say something. Great work, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of Andrew Tate, and I've seen some of his stuff and listened to some of his things. Like, I think some of the clips are some of the worst stuff. Again, it's a 90-10, 80-20 thing. Like, there's a lot of stuff that he speaks. He has the ear of a group of humans who are suffering horribly
Oh
right
yeah,
now, which is young
absolutely.
men. And I mean, it sucks, but if they listen to some of what he says and they can improve their lives and become better people, like that's great. The hard part is the misogynistic part and like the women hating and all these other things that it's
Yeah,
just
I
like
think
you were
I
doing
think I
so
was
good for like a second and then you go over the
right.
line. Why do you
I
do
think
that?
he was like a lot of people used to say like he's very different in real life, which I mean I'm sure that's true for every content creator. They're all different in real life. But
Fair.
then this was definitely like a gotcha moment when it's like, okay, they're being charged in Britain, Romania, America, like three different places, and it's like, okay, well maybe he's actually not that different. Uh and that was just like the hook, line, and sinker on like, come on.
Right. So, all right, we
Anyway,
got a
we'll get into
couple more minutes here.
yeah.
We want to watch this one?
Yeah. Just this one's quick. This is not more than like 30 seconds.
So it's the finest whiskey in the world.
Oh, they're trying to escape the booze.
No, he doesn't drink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
he doesn't
Pass
drink.
me a glass over then. It's me
Yeah,
and you.
absolutely, brother.
What about your cameraman?
It's you and me, bro.
You ever had Blue Label whiskey? That's like, what's it, 600? What's this close to $600-700?
300.
Oh, Jesus Christ, alcohol taxes must be blood at an airport.
So, I mean, there's nothing valuable here. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
This is just
duty free because
the two people from the last clip
Take a glass. Cheers, brother.
drinking
Not every day
$600 whiskey together
The man himself.
and smoking cigars.
So it's the finest whiskey in the world. So it's
I did
Wow.
have, again, it's just
So
another
much
point
value
to
was
like,
just added to my life.
another, right, it's crazy that they would even put this out there. It's just to show that they're hanging out, which is also shady because it's like there's not even value here. But again, like to the point of like they're both sort of biohackers and in the space, obviously, like we just heard them talk about in the previous video. I did have a specific question here though. Both
Okay.
of them talk about fasting, doing intermittent fasting and like longer fasts. I wanted to ask, what is the research with what that looks like with drinking alcohol? Because clearly like they have put a lot of thought into this, and like I know from like party days, like at least when we're gonna go out drinking, like you overload on food so that way you're not, hurting your body.
Yeah,
It's a lot easier
alcohol
on you.
breaks a fast. I mean, so that's if you're drinking alcohol, you're not fasting. I mean, so that's A. And then you are absolutely correct. It can get through in your blood way faster if you don't have any if you're eating it on an empty stomach or not eating it on anything. So I would venture a guess that they're waiting to drink alcohol till after their first meal, which is usually lunch it sounds like for them. The other thing that I'll talk about, though, which is crazy, is that even the tiniest drop or single sip of alcohol absolutely obliterates your sleep. Like, you do not get into deep sleep. You do not get into slow wave sleep when you drink alcohol. You pass out into light wave sleep, but you're not getting into restorative sleep. And so paradoxically, even drinking that little bit of alcohol that was in the thing would have whatever this guy's name is, Luke Belmar, whatever his name, would have him wake up tired. Like in the other video, he was like, can you imagine going to sleep and waking up tired? That is exactly what would happen after drinking some alcohol. And like, everybody has different alcohol tolerances and all of the whatever. But bottom line, like, it's just so paradoxical to see some of this stuff and how we've lined them up clip by clip. It's just crazy to see the difference.
Right. And these, like, I mean, just because, again, I went through this, these aren't super far apart in, like, the feed and timeline. So it's not that hard to put together. But, I mean, I'm assuming, you know, like, a lot of people don't go through timelines like that. And so that's why he's kind of able to get away with this. And then we can just click on the next link. This is how I know Luke Belmar. It is in reference to the clip that we just watched.
Okay.
He kind of blew up as a Reddit meme for trying to get the attention of Andrew Dean.
Every guy that I want to get into the room with, I know as much as I can about them. For example, Tristan pulled up a video, his favorite whiskey, Johnny Walker. What do I do? Duty free? Fucking Johnny Walker. That night, sipping the fucking Johnny Walker in the war room by myself with him. Chilling. Why? I studied, bro. I knew what he liked. Oh shit, this guy's paying attention. That's it.
Okay.
Again, okay, so like, if we don't pay attention to the person that he's talking about, I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with you, like, trying to seem impressive in study, but it does seem so contradictory to his point, again, about celebrities earlier. If they are all dirt and you don't care when you meet them, why are you putting in this much effort?
That's an interesting point. I wonder if there's we have to ask him. And this is one of the hardest things about, in the line of work that I do, I tend to want to ask people these questions instead of just react to them. You know, like, it's really hard for me to do some of this because I want to ask him, like, how do you define celebrity? How and why is Andrew Tate, or whoever the other guy, the Tate, whatever the Tate dude's name is, how is he different from the celebrity scum you were talking about? And then why is this a different situation? Like, what are you thinking, or how do you process this differently?
Yeah, again, I'd love to know. It's just like one of those things. I mean, it's obviously like influencer discrepancy, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I
influencers
would
have a hard
imagine
time.
someone like maybe he wants to be like, or maybe that is one of his mentors that we were talking about earlier. Everyone has them. Maybe that, I'm not saying it's a great pick, but I am saying that maybe it is one of his, and that means, okay, I'm going to do the extra work to get in a room with them and have a conversation with them. Like, would I do that extra work to get in a room with Tom Bilyeu? Yeah. Peter Diamandis? Yeah. Tony Robbins? Yeah. Like, so it's an interesting phenomenon that we are experiencing.
Yeah, but anyway, that clip specifically just blew up because people were clowning on him so hard about it. Because I mean, it is just over the top and silly, and I think that's why.
Yeah.
And of
It
course,
is,
you get like the
again,
tape
it's
from the trunk board.
directionally good advice. Like, going the extra step to get into rooms and get to talk to people and get opportunities that you want is directionally a great thing to do.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, this is something that he talks about that I don't disagree with. It was in another clip. He talks about kind of like how he made connections was when he was like in a like worse place, that he like waited at high-end restaurants. Like, he would learn to wait at high-end restaurants, and then so it would get him in the room with like more important people, which again, like, that's to his point about celebrities. Like, I think he said like Bill Gates, like he waited on Bill Gates. Like, that's a celebrity, come on.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
I
like
just
you
would
do
really
need the
love to know
attention
his
of these people.
definition. Yeah, I'd love to know his definition of these things.
So like, yeah, I'm not denying that he definitely like hustled and studied, and that it's worked for him in some way.
Yeah.
That
All
is
right, we got
all
FACO
of our
coming up here,
clips.
so
We'll
let's
wrap it
do
up.
our final thoughts here. What are we thinking overall?
I wrote down my overall thoughts. So this is like obviously a selection of clips that's kind of mostly focused on his views on health, because that's what we talk about here on TDL. And something that I thought was interesting going through his other videos is like they're not quite all that this problematic. He definitely tries to play both sides, which is interesting, and like something I just pick up on because that's content creation. You have to play both sides in entrepreneurship. So
Yeah.
a lot of the times he will talk about like other countries that have a lot better like economic states than the US, which I thought was really, really interesting. Like, he'll talk about like Italy and how they're just allowed to have kind of more breaks for work, and it was like middle of the day and it's, you know, full, and it's just not quite as enshrined in this hustle culture, which is also interesting again because it's what he promotes. So he definitely, I think he definitely plays to one side a lot better than the other, but he still has some content that's, you know, I mean, economically interesting. At the end of the day, like, if you're just surrounding yourself with the Tate brothers, that's an instant no. And even with his very rare good takes, I talked to you about this, but like going through this, I had to watch a video of him trying to explain the Alex Jones, the water is making the frogs gay video, and he came at it with so many conspiratorial points, and that's what made me kind of lose it. And I was like, I have to take a break and just start writing this video later because
Oh boy, I remember
I
you telling
can't
me
do
that.
this.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, one thing bottom line that I think about this is that even be slightly disagreeable is one of the best way, and not slightly, be disagreeable in a way, and this can help you avoid falling into the traps that like the people at extremes get to, and have your own set of beliefs, your own values, your own perspectives, your own thoughts. Have a way you view the world. Write it down what you believe and why you believe it, and research it. And don't just change it because somebody standing next to some celebrity is saying you should. Challenge what they're saying. Do your own research. Even challenge what we're saying. Like if it goes against your gut feeling or what you think, okay, do research. Take a second to go look at some of this stuff for yourself and have these things written down so that you aren't just a flower in the wind whenever something like this comes up, and you can actually have a core sense of self, a core sense of value, a core sense of beliefs and things that you're going to act on in your life, and then adjust as you go. That can help you buffet from these types of things a lot, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think that's great advice, and honestly, like, such a great point to this entire video. I mean, I think that, in my opinion, that also helps you with your like mental health a lot. You really
Yes.
are able to do what he's saying and filter out a lot more noise if you're like, if you have a hard set belief system, you're not going to want to follow these like celebrities or people. Like, I'm sure you'll
Right.
have, you know, like your content creators that maybe you go back to every now and then because you're like, well, they agree with what I agree with, and it's more. I think it ends up more being like, I want to support that rather than I follow this person.
Right.
At least that's the way like I view it, because I mean, I'm sure you would agree with like the fact that I have a very defined belief system.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting point too, because the other half of what I just described is challenging your belief system.
Yeah.
Looking
I think
up
you should do that.
the opposite advice and looking up the opposite side stuff, which is what I try to do a lot. Ground news, almost every creator talks about ground news. They do a pretty good job of this and like looking at like what side something's coming from, but challenge your own beliefs. I do that too. I mean,
Again,
all the time.
I do agree with some of his points, and I didn't think that I would, especially about like economic and social status. At the end of the day, am I going to follow him? No.
No. Right.
Cons outweigh the pros.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
I feel you. All right. Well, another spicy one that we had. We've got a couple more of these coming up too. I'm excited. So if there's anything else that anyone would like us to react to or talk about, let us know.
We have to do our final question for the comments.
Uh-oh.
We have our final question, little segment that we do at the end. The big question today is, what is a biohacker, and do you think this guy is one? I thought that would be interesting for us to answer and for the comments to answer.
Personally, it's a spectrum. A biohacker is a spectrum. Like you could consider a biohacker someone who optimizes their sleep, exercise, nutrition. Okay. And then there's Brian Johnson, who's on the other side and trying to extend his life and live forever. Anything between there, I think, it's a very, very loose definition. And I think, honestly, that could be dangerous at times, but it's just people, it's a mindset in my mind. People who want to improve and get better and do the things that they can with the control that they have currently to improve their lives from a biological standpoint.
Yeah, I think that's good. I usually think of somebody that's like really, I mean, I know you and Chloe, so I'm obviously thinking of people that are like into like the supplement space and healthy eating and working out and things like that. I know the things that you guys stay away from generally, but yeah, I think that's a good definition, and definitely there's a spectrum. Do I think this guy is one? I mean, if you're self-proclaimed, you can be whatever you want. That obviously helps you create the identity. We know that. So if you call yourself a biohacker, you're more likely to get into those practices, and I'm not going to say don't do that. Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Whatever. It's like CrossFit. Like it could be good, it could be bad. Like it's an identity nonetheless. So
yeah, but please drop your controversial takes in the comments on that one, because I would love to see them.
Yeah, please do. Cool.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in for this TDL reaction, and let us know what you want to see next.
Hell yeah. Please do. Appreciate it. CJ's been crushing these. Remember to always question everything, especially your own beliefs, people. And we'll see you next time. Peace.